Oh, hey, oh my gosh, we're live. Hey, everybody, my name's Harris Fellman. As some of you might know, this is the Tellman and Fellman Show, episode 22, Bente Dos, for all of the people in Spain following along. Anyway, please welcome my host, my co-host,
Tellman Knudsen. Thank you for that incredible tee up, Harris.
Doesn't always work out.
and we have a very, 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 very special guest today. None other than the living legend, Old Man Casey, aka Shawn Casey. I know you're going to read the bio here in a minute, Harris, but honestly, Shawn's awesome. The very first ebook that I ever purchased and read, I was in college because I was trying to figure out how to sell salsa on the internet, and it was Mining Gold on the Internet by Shawn Casey. So I'll pass it over to Harris.
All right, well, Shawn Casey isn't just an internet marketing expert. He's a true leader in the internet marketing space. His work predates many of the other OGs that we've spoken with, and he's actually been a mentor to many of them that we've talked to, and many others who've gone on to shape the industry. With over 20 years of experience, he's known for his expertise in affiliate marketing, traffic generation, and building powerful sales funnels. Shawn's competitive drive is legendary. His most prized launch win was a freaking Ferrari. Vroom. I don't know if they vroom. Vroom, vroom. I don't know. That sounds horrible. I don't even want to do that. It wasn't written there, but I'm just having fun. Despite his massive success, this is the only time I get to have a little personality. He remains humble, which, as you can see, he's humble there with his so humble, always willing to share his knowledge and help others grow. That's something that we've certainly seen over the years. Shawn's early teachings still resonate today, which is amazing. And his positive energy and generosity make him someone that we're all proud to, that Tellman and I, at least, are all proud to call a friend. And not only a friend, but we also, as Tellman just said, call him Old Man Casey with love, but not because he's old now. We called him Old Man Casey 20 years ago. He's always been old, but look at the guy. He looks younger than us now. This is incredible. Welcome to the Tellman and Fellman Show, Shawn Casey.
Thank you. Thank you for that rousing introduction. And just so everyone is clear, Tellman and I were partners in winning the Ferrari, and then some other things, and in a list building club,
surprised.
and then
yeah.
And how were you guys partners on that? Was it just the two of you, or was it some sort of multiple?
No, it was the two of us. Tellman and I used to own some products together, and the list building club membership, and a bunch of other things that we did together. And so we were partners and put our efforts together to win the Ferrari.
So we built a very large list over a series of projects, but probably the most impactful one, I think, was when we launched List Pros together.
Right.
So we did a big launch. We used the mass control model, right? We used Frank Kern's mass control model, which was largely built on product launch formula as well. Like there's all these layers to it. But we followed mass control. We launched List Pros. We did the world's first $1 million in sales in an hour in a teleseminar during that launch. And then we won, and we made a bunch of money, did a big launch, and then immediately following that, like a month later, Evan Pagan did his launch, and I think we used that list in order to win the launch and win the Ferrari together. Was that how it went down? Are my details accurate, Shawn?
Yes.
Was that the launch where Evan prepaid everybody? What was it, $1,000 cash FedEx it to get our attention or something? Wasn't it?
Wait, I didn't get that money.
I didn't get that money either. Yeah.
There was somebody. I think.
You shouldn't talk about that. There are hundreds of people who are like, Evan owes me $1,000. Evan was great. Evan gave away his Ferrari.
Yeah, ask where our money is.
Oh, Evan gave away his own Ferrari. Yeah,
his own Ferrari. He gave away his own Mercedes. He's like, I'm cleaning out the garage. That's it.
Yeah.
So it was very competitive. It was exciting, and we could probably talk an hour about how we managed to win that contest. But I don't want to bore people with ancient history. But it was very cool.
It's not all successful. It's not all successful. Shawn and I had a launch together during a recession. I had a character
about recession, like Recession Busters, right?
Recession Buster or F the Recession. No, I think it was Recession Buster, and I had my Sal character for that. We had Sal the Sight Stealer as the promoter or the mascot, as Tellman would say, and then he blew up a gas. I blew up a gas station, and not for real.
Convincingly so.
That was
yeah.
that was an awesome. Wasn't there like an wasn't that like an interactive video or something?
Oh yeah,
With a cell
that's right.
phone
I
on
tried to
top
do it. Boy, that would work out really a lot. I bet we could do that a lot better now because but it was like hey, Shawn, but like I recorded like 1,000 names and so that if you opted in as Shawn, it would say, you know, hey, hey, forget about it, Shawn.
But it worked. It worked.
Yeah, no, we did okay, but it wasn't $1 million day or anything like that.
Well, no, I mean, but hey, it was promotion. It was, and Harris also, we did. I don't remember the exact details, but with Todd Gross, we did like the first like live video people on the internet streaming faces or something. I can't remember exactly what it was because for those who don't know Todd was a actual weatherman on TV, weatherman. In fact, the guy who predicted the perfect storm, which, you know, George Clooney starred in, not as Todd. There was still another guy who was the weatherman. You know, Todd survived the perfect storm, thankfully. But he went on to start doing video related things on the internet and has had great success and everything else. But he was like in the bowels of some university's computer lab or something and connected up to us, and we were streaming video back long before, you know, what we're able to do now.
Right.
And that was part of the first product that he created to start trying to teach people how to do video, because he kept saying, this is the future. This is the future. Well, welcome to the future.
Here we are.
That's right.
Gosh, I don't remember that too well. That's amazing. Yeah,
I remember bits and pieces of all that.
I definitely, you know, I remember talking with Tom early on. Adam Seitz. Oh, you don't know Adam Seitz. He just liked the video that we're on right now. A friend of mine, Adam Seitz. He's in New York. He has a book. He has a book out that I've been talking to him about, maybe using like our internet marketing knowledge to help him sell the book and monetize it. So anyway, hey Adam, glad you're watching the video. But you're probably not going to learn anything about your book today. Well, you might, so pay attention. Pay attention. So anyway, Shawn, how did you get started? Tellman mentioned, you know, mining gold.
You know, I've got to admit, I was kind of irritated. Like, I was really trying to figure out how to sell jars of salsa on the internet from my college dorm room, and I'm reading mining gold on the internet. I'm like, what is this? What are you talking about? This isn't going to teach me how to sell jars of salsa on the internet.
It wasn't
Oddly
called
enough,
mining
in the sales
salsa.
letter, it didn't say that I'll teach you how to sell garden salsa on the internet.
No, but it was the only ebook I could find for sale that would teach me anything.
So what year was that?
Probably 2000.
Okay.
Either 2000 or 2001. I really don't remember. It's shrouded in the mist of time. But so prior to the internet, you know, once upon a time I practiced law. That was horrible. Quit that.
You kept the furniture.
Yeah, well, no, this is all new furniture, and I have big bookcases back here that nobody can see, and you know. But I mean, I tend to think in big, fancy furniture because you know, if I'm going to be in the office, I want to enjoy it. But but prior, you know, once I stopped practicing law, I was in business. I was teaching seminars. We were doing direct response marketing with radio and TV and direct mail pieces for a bunch of different stuff on my end, mostly related to legal matters of like tax planning and estate planning and asset protection and stuff like that. And this internet thing came along, and pretty quickly I figured out that direct, which is you do a promotion and people respond, become a lead, become a buyer, whatever, was perfect for the internet. You know, even early on, you couldn't track a lot of stuff really well, but it was obviously going to be, you know, that you could get people to respond. And, you know, like most marketing, it goes across different media, right? So I said, hey, this is really good. I should focus on this. And in 1999, I left the partnership and the company I was the CEO of, and to focus primarily on the internet. And, you know, then in the early days, wasn't selling my own product. I was really generating leads, you know, what would become known as co-registration. It didn't have a name at the time, but I was generating leads through different contests we were running online, selling those leads to other companies, some of them .com future busts who had raised VC money and their job was to buy leads to build a list. If you talk to the college interns that were running those companies, said, well, what are you going to do? They're like, I don't know what we're going to do. My job is to buy leads, and we'll give you whatever, $2 for every name and email address you can get us. Because back then, you couldn't buy the big disc of all the names and email addresses. And more than one of them went bankrupt because we didn't get paid by more than one of them in the end. But we made money doing that, and I learned how to generate traffic and convert paid traffic into leads and convert free traffic into leads, and started building, was mailing people on my own email lists. Back when the email marketing worked. The email marketing is now dead. It's been dead, 18 different times now in the last 20 years. Doesn't work at all. You should never build a list. You should never send email, because that will give more room for the rest of us to build a list and send email. Of all the things that haven't died, that are supposedly dead, that may be one of the most resilient ever, right?
Yeah.
Some stuff has died. MySpace died. And if you ever want to read a great article, there's an article, I think it's in Forbes, about the guy who got fired because he was the losing bidder to pay $700 million for MySpace for his company. And he got fired because he failed to buy it. I don't know what they did to the guy who actually paid $700 million for MySpace. He's probably no longer with us. He probably died in a mysterious car crash. But they fired the guy who lost the bidding war for what is now probably worth $7, right?
Right.
So some stuff didn't stand the test of time. But, hey, list building, still with us, still works.
Well, I mean, it's an important point, though. Like MySpace was one of the earliest social media platforms, right? And it's also, like all current social media platforms that I'm aware of, is privately owned, right? And
right.
So privately owned companies, or whatever, privately, publicly, individual companies come and go, like they rise and they fall. And technologies for communication also rise and fall. The telegraph died. Radio is still alive, but it's limping along, right? Newspaper.
Well, radio.
I'd
say radio's become podcasts now. Radio's become
radio. Yeah, that's true.
You can't really say TV's dead when Netflix is streaming. Like, it's still the same. It's ultimately
TV's definitely not dead. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, yeah, not dead, but the old, whatever, the old only 3 networks model, and right. That you can actually pay an amount of money to reach the entire United States with just 3 networks. That's dead. There's parts of it that are dead, but the actual, I actually more think about, like, I look at everything in terms of, like, how does this compare to email, really? And, like, we've, like, right now, I think SMS is, like, if people know how to do it well, even though it costs more money and it has some more inherent risk involved, it's quite effective, and it holds up against, it seems to be holding up against email still after, maybe I'd say the last 2 or 3 years. And then, like, but there was a time when, like the I forget what it's called, but the pop-up that you can opt in, you can go to a website and they're like, oh, can we notify you? And you're like, yeah, sure. And that was actually, there was like a 6-month window where that was having its day. Like, it was doing better for me than email, but it's still the same concept. I've got permission to mail to you. And like, like Shawn's hinting at right now, everybody's saying email's dead right now. Email is definitely having trouble right now.
Email's changing. It has changed. Well, actually, I want to talk about that, Shawn. So my philosophy on email is suddenly, like, really changing. Like, I was really resistant to a lot of the changes over I'm going to say the last 5 years, just to kind of, like, simplify. But, like, I'm curious, you've been in the game for a real long time. I'm guessing that you still have large lists that you mail in some capacity, yeah?
Absolutely.
Or at least email list, maybe not as large. I don't know what your situation is or how much you want to reveal your numbers, but I'm curious about how your emailing strategy and tactics have shifted in the last few years in order to adjust to the dramatic changes in deliverability and inboxing and all the new changes that have come into effect. What have you come up with? What have you solved? What haven't you solved? How has your own internal philosophy and way that you mail changed? Because one thing that you preached for a very long time, and that I re-preached, is the hotel theory of marketing. Whereas you have 100 rooms in your hotel. This is your thing, or at least I got this from you, right? You have a hotel, it's got 100 empty rooms, and you got however many days in the calendar month, right? You got 7 days in the week, you got 30 plus or minus days in the month, and every day that goes by where all those rooms aren't filled, that's like lost revenue. You just lost it. You can't ever get it back. It's gone. Time has passed. Like, that day is gone. It's over. Mm-hmm. And so that's every day that you don't email your list. It's just like not even trying to sell those empty rooms. You didn't even put the effort in. But broadcasting your whole list every day has kind of changed, right? Like, for a lot of us anyway. I know that used to be like my primary way of monetizing my email list, and that does not work anymore. And so I've had to start changing things. So I'm curious about what you've seen, what you've had to change, what you haven't had to change.
Well, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to Google and Yahoo, because, I love those guys, and I couldn't be happier that their goal in life is to block every commercial email that we send them.
We all love Google and email. Everybody, yay!
Yeah, come on. If you're a marketer, you can't understand why your consumers and business people on your list don't want to hear from you 7 times a day, because really they're just living, waiting for our next email, aren't they? And there becomes the problem. I don't know. Somebody is credited with saying it. I don't remember if it's Seth Godin or who, that marketers ruin everything.
Right. Yeah. That's Seth Godin. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes that's true. It things get popularized and people push things to the limit. But on the other hand, if you get people on a list, how can you not want to email them? Because Tellman correctly said, you don't email them, they don't buy. And for many owners of email lists, the hardest thing is to convince them that it's okay if somebody unsubscribes, right? Because people you say to people, send email, they're like, oh, if I send email, somebody complains or somebody unsubscribes. It's like, oh, hey, they opened the email. They're paying attention. Maybe they don't love you anymore. That's fine. Okay. We have to give Gary Vee credit for Marketers Ruin Everything. Okay, I couldn't remember which one it was. I knew it was one of those guys.
I thought it was Seth Godin.
Well, Google says otherwise. So
yeah, and we know Google is always right.
Yes. Is it Google's AI that answered that, or is it an actual search?
They showed like 3 videos and a couple of quotes. Yeah.
Fine.
We're
gonna give it. We're gonna Gary Vee and Seth Godin at the same time and have them
duke it out. Wait, here, I'm Seth Godin. Hold on.
Yeah, all right. There it is. There it is. But can you mail every day? Yes, you can. But it depends on what you're going to mail. It used to be that you could get people on your list and pound the crap out of them, and if they left, they left. But people would take it.
Buy or die, like literally, a slogan a lot of people went by was buy or die. So it's like either open my email and buy my stuff, or it's very like aggressive. Yeah.
And the other thing was that you never took anybody off your list 20 years ago because there was no reason to.
Right.
Now, if you're not using good list practices and culling people that never open or click very quickly, then you're not going to get any kind of decent delivery. It's definitely a problem, and using aggressive language, like, hey, you can get rich without any money and any investment in any work, and click here to get your free $1 million bill. It doesn't get really good delivery. I don't know why, but I tried it. It didn't work well.
You and I both use the term aggressive language for clickbait, basically. like aggressive.
It works. You have to be a little more subtle with that. But one of the biggest things is that you have to take what the market gives you, right? If you watch football, which might be a good analogy for this, right? It's like, hey, if I use a running play and it works and the defense is backing off and they let me have the space to run another running play, I'm going to keep running till they make me switch, right? And then the secondary is going to come up, and then I can throw the deep ball, right? I mean, so you take what they give you, and that's the thing with the marketplace, right? At one point, in the early days of Facebook, you could run any ad you wanted to. They were happy for the money. That got shut down pretty quickly because marketers abused the crap out of it, and scammers really abused the crap out of it. And then it was like you couldn't run anything. I mean, you couldn't run anything that used the word like money, start a business, anything for a while. And then they kind of, found their balance a little bit. I think in part because they stopped having truly actual interns review ads. Because the early days of Facebook, you got a real human who looked at your ads, but they were like, 17 years old and, a freshman in college.
Right.
And they're like deciding whether you live or die. It's what could go wrong? And so things change and things move. I mean, different, but, Dan Kennedy, who's one of my mentors, and I was in his early whatever mastermind thing that it was called at the time that predates the actual internet as we know it today, often talked about, so pre-internet, that if you have one source of, leads or buyers for your business, whether it's direct mail, newspaper ads, TV ads, radio ads, whatever it is, you're an idiot. And I don't know if he actually said that, but it is the kind of thing he would say, is that you're an idiot.
It sounds like he would say that.
And because it can go away one day, right? I mean, we've seen this over and over again, right?
It will go away.
And it will. I mean, whether it's, Facebook shuts down your account, Google shuts down your ad account, name the big company they've shut down, a lot of marketers' ad accounts, rightly or wrongly. They did something wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. Same thing with, your email marketing provider. At some point, one of them is going to shut you down. If you grow big enough, if you have 11 people on your list, you mail them, every year at Christmas, probably not getting shut down.
Right.
But, if you're trying to grow a business, it's tough.
Right.
Well, I mean, that goes for everything. Even like, I think the biggest shock for me, early on, was that what you would think is the simplest part of a business, collecting money, can actually get shut down. Your payment processor or PayPal or Stripe nowadays as well can basically say, no, we're good. Like you basically fit a profile, like seriously, like you fit a profile. You have, like in my case, I have I sell, still sell solo ads, right? They don't know that it's solo ads. They don't know this term, but they don't want advertising. No online advertising. That's a high risk area for us. So, Stripe doesn't allow it at all. You can't sell leads. So that was a big shocker for me. But really, I don't know, every part of an internet business, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, yes, we're in a more aggressive area of the internet marketing space, but everyone has there's issues with growing and scaling a business, whether it's the advertising side, whether it's the email deliverability, SMS deliverability, whatever it is that you're doing, payment processing, it all has that aspect. And so you do have to develop a bit of a I probably developed too thick of a skin. Like when something goes wrong, I'm like, okay, well, I'll I'm not jumping all over some IT guy to fix it fast enough sometimes. And I'm like, oh, I guess I should have jumped on that a little quicker. But, just stuff generally, I mean, this year I got hacked. I'm not happy about it, but, I'm also not like
first guy.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not. No, I know. But anyway, go ahead, Tellman.
Yeah. So, well, Shawn, like practically speaking, with the email marketing side of your business, instead of just emailing everybody every day, like how do you actually like run it? Do you keep people in a 60-day sequence after they opt into a list, and if they don't click, they're off, and then do you move them into another sequence, or like how do you actually have things set up in order to get more email through? Like what's the solution that you've come up with for the time being?
So what we're doing, the 30,000 foot overview is close to what you said. People get in, They're in a long series of messages or in a daily broadcast, depending upon the niche. If they aren't, in most cases, if they're new and they haven't opened in 15 days, then we take them off the list. They go into a hopper, and eventually we'll try them again, and we recycle through, that pile of leads to try to, maybe they were on vacation for 2 weeks or whatever, and try to just, re-energize that person. But if you haven't clicked, or if you haven't opened or clicked in 2 weeks, you're off the list, because the guys
so full list. If somebody makes it past, so I'm new. I open a couple of emails in the first 15 days. So now I'm in the opener category. Are you constantly only sending to the people that have opened, let's say engaged in the last 15 days?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
15,
but if you drop off again, and you're not opening or clicking in the last 15 to 30 days, depending upon the list, you're not getting email either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm hearing I told Tellman I'm hearing a lot of people going to 30 days. I've never heard anybody say 15.
The new people, you need to, because you're assuming you're generating a good volume of leads, right? I mean, you have all these new people and they're not responding.
Yeah.
So number one, they're not responding. Number two, Google and Yahoo, who pay attention, know they're not responding. Your overall open and click and response rate, right? And really it's more clicks than opens now, depending upon who's tracking what, is going down. And the basic concept at Google and Yahoo is, hey, look, if people aren't responding to your messages, you're one of 10,000 guys that mailed in the last minute into our servers, and you're just clogging up the works. You're costing us money, and you're annoying people. So why should we let you in?
Yeah. Yeah. And they've back in February, they tightened those numbers up a ton.
Mhm.
And that's what everybody's, feeling the effect of. I love hearing I love hearing 15 days, because it's so, talk about aggressive. It's a very solid stance, and it's really true. That's the problem with, I think, marketers. A lot of times we don't take a step back and say, what is the actual customer experience?
Right.
If they, number one, if they didn't open your email in 15 days, they might not have even been a real email. Number
Right.
one. Number two, they might have just had some sort of impulse opt-in. They wanted to get the next information on the next page, and they're just not that into you, bro. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? And basically, Gmail and Yahoo, and that's all that matters. I mean, Gmail is about all that matters, really. But Gmail, Yahoo, and everybody else follows suit, can see that and say, leave them alone. They don't want your stuff. And
Okay.
we're not gonna deliver to everybody. We'll let some of your stuff get through now, and then we'll diminish that. So, but Shawn, one of the questions that I guess do you even still mail every day for some markets?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Why
But
not?
people on the other side, if they're not responding after 2 weeks to a month, they're gone.
Right. I mean, if they no longer have an interest,
Yeah.
or I'm not getting delivery, or whatever it is, we need to stop mailing to them.
Yep.
And then maybe once a month you're like, okay, let me mail the 90-day openers, and once every couple. I don't know, if I'm just guessing. This is what I do.
Right, but generally, yes. You want to keep going, because sometimes you're going to catch somebody, or you get inboxed or whatever. Because we know that Google especially plays games with what they let in to an inbox.
Totally.
This is such a detriment to our egos, is really what it is. That's what you've got to eat up. It's like, Tellman, you're like, I've got a list of 100,000 people. I'm mailing a list of 100,000 people. Then when you find out that, well, only 7,000 of them are opening in the last 15 days, it's like
the reality, right?
Oh, yeah. I've only got a list of 7, but it was, I'm closer to, with what Shawn does, obviously. I'm not saying you're not, Tellman. This sounds like a transition for you, though, because we used to get away
I
with
was
it.
resistant. I really fought this for a long time, and
yeah,
I
mean, I remember the first time I was like, okay, let me get rid of the people that haven't opened in the last 90 days, and I'm like,
right,
what?
Right. It's like, wait, thousands of dollars of investment just walked out the door.
Right.
Shawn.
Yeah.
Okay, so. Are you using SMS?
No.
Okay.
We're way behind the curve on this.
Yep. I'm not really using SMS either, but like I'm heavily investigating like the newer tools right now. So I was curious. And then so you've been in the game for a super long time. You've created a bunch of offers over many years that have done well in numerous markets, but even just so what about the philosophy of just focusing on buyer leads and not focusing on opt-ins at all as a way of circumventing at least part of this problem? Have you given that much thought, or have you tried that to compare customer list versus opt-in list in today's email environment?
I don't have data to say, one is better than the other, but part of it depends upon what your actual business model is, right? So let's self-servingly talk for a minute about increasebilling.com, which we're going to come back to.
This is a great segue. Do it.
What is
well,
it?
mostly because Harris actually brought up one of the issues that we help people with bigger volume businesses manage, which is what happens when you lose your merchant account. Because if you have a bigger business, one day you are going to lose your merchant account.
Right.
It's whether or not you can handle it. And I'll come back to that because I want to answer Tellman's question. But, increased billing has a smaller number of customers. Our target customer does at least $1 million a year in volume, right? It's not for everybody. You have to integrate with us, but our biggest client probably adds $1 million a year to his bottom line because of the integration. So, arguably they're probably happy, right? And so that's different than if, I want to sell coaching. Because there's a whole internet marketing business of people who want to be coaches selling other people who want to be coaches, selling other people who want to be coaches, none of whom are ever actually coaching anyone who's not in the vicious cycle. And not that there aren't people who are great at coaching people, but there seems to be a lot of money being made teaching people how to do the thing they want to do. And those people, they're not generally getting $7 buyer leads on the front end, right? They're generating people on a list, trying to get them to watch a webinar, to register, to go into a funnel. Right. But if you're, following, my friend Alan Soltanic, I never know how, I can't remember how Alan's last name.
I think it's Soltanic and automatic clients. We're big.
So automatic clients. So, he has popularized a funnel concept, right?
We're launching one right now, Shawn.
Right. So, and Alan hasn't claimed to have invented anything, right? But he's popularized it at the very least and runs a great group. But, where it's, hey, let's get people on the front end cheap and then run them through an ascension, which, we were doing long before the automatic clients product, existed. And so, if you build that funnel that way, right, then it definitely works. So it kind of depends upon what you want to sell. If you already have an existing business and you come to the internet, you can't say, we sell dump trucks, let's just go only market to buyers, right? But if you build a business where you can have a, front end that is simply, anything that gets people to give you $5 or $7 or $17, then, you pick them off. It also, depending upon how well you are at selling and running ads and what your niche is and what the competition is, possible that you can, offset some or all of your ad cost on the front end, and then, your list is free.
Right. But then at the end of the day, I think kind of to the crux of the question for me is, let's say Tellman and I launch our automatic clients style funnel, and we're getting a bunch of people that paid $7 to get on our list. As far as we're concerned, Gmail don't care that they paid $7.
No,
they're still looking at the open rate. Ultimately, we still have to basically treat them like, we have to treat the email list itself. Now, I think that they're going to be more likely to open because they paid money, but they might, their lifetime might be 15, 30 days, just like a free opt-in was.
So let's talk about, but let's talk about something I can tell you real specifically that I tested a lot years ago when it should have made a difference. All right. So if you ask all the major email senders, they're going to tell you that you should get people to confirm opt-in on your list, because then A, they're really on your list, and B, now you're going to get better delivery because the people are really serious. Now, A long time ago, I spent a lot of money generating a lot of leads, and we built two identical models, and the only difference was for I don't know how many, but thousands and thousands of leads was if they confirm the opt-in or not. And the response rate of the lists percentage-wise was virtually identical. So, if we started with 10,000 regular leads and 20% of them confirmed, that those 2,000 people, they hit the spam complaint button, the same percentage. They opened, they clicked, everything was the same percentage they had just confirmed. So one of the greatest lies ever is that those people that confirmed would be a better lead.
Right. So you're basically saying I had 10,000 people show up to my website, and 50% opted in to this funnel over to the first funnel, and the first funnel was no confirmation email. Just You're on the list, 5,000 people on the list. And then over here, we've got another identical everything. They did have to double opt in. First of all, 5,000 people opt in, but only 1,000 actually confirmed?
Probably.
Yeah, probably 20, 25% at best actually confirm. They're the same basic mindset as those other 5,000 people. And then
there's just less of them.
And it's just less of them behaving in the exact same way. So they're still going to have an open rate of 20%. They're still going to have a click-through rate of 3% or whatever it is. You just knocked out 80% of your potential list for no good reason. So I wonder how that might apply. Well, we know a little bit. Like I was about to say, how does that apply? Like if someone were to test like a free opt-in versus a $7 opt-in, right? You're obviously gonna get a whole lot less people, but then basically getting kind of a very similar exchange. And I do think that like the CPA industry, they've got their partials, and then they've got the people that have paid, right? So you've got all of these things that they call partials. They barely even consider those a lead. Like they that's garbage to them, and half of them don't do anything with it ever, and they've got like hundreds of thousands of emails that they don't do anything with because they don't even view it as being valuable. But I don't know if I don't know. I guess but that's just an opt-in. That's just a squeeze page. That's not like, hey, we're going to give you a whole bunch of really great info for free, right? And now you're on my list for free versus you paid $5 or $7 to be on my list. I think we should. I bet we will test that, to be honest with you, Tellman.
Yeah, well, so this is interesting because this is a radically different test, but it's less of a test and more of a practice that I just try out every now and again. There is no doubt that when I send a broadcast to my customers versus sending a broadcast to my clickers, that my customers definitely make more money than my clickers. That's unquestionable. And when I just send to my customers, I also have more opens, higher percentages of opens and higher percentages of clicks. So even if a double opt-in list, if that turns out to be bogus, right? I mean, I don't know that logic follows through to the comparison of an opt-in list versus a buyer's list, right? Like,
no, I don't think it does. But I say if you had 1,000 buyers and you send them an email, somebody will still hit the spam complaint button.
Yeah.
Some of them still won't respond.
Yep.
Just because it's human nature. But they are more valuable, yes, because they gave you money. And they actually know who you are because they gave you money.
And they're a person who has a credit card that goes through. I mean, right?
Yeah, but when you talk about your clickers, you're just
they've
talking
also
about
gone into your member area, right? They've consumed your content,
right?
A good percentage of them,
right?
Some of them will have, seen your face on a video, right? I mean, it's a way different relationship than just confirmed or didn't confirm, opted in and doesn't have any idea who you are.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, let's face it. You sell enough stuff online, which is like 10 products, or get 10 customers. One of them will come back, a week later and say, I didn't buy this. I don't know who you are.
Right. No.
And you can be like, okay, wait, you live here. This is your phone number. This is this. Here's your credit card number. We shipped you the product. So my partners and I have sold over 1 million products in the survival space, right? And we will get people who come to us and say, I didn't buy this flashlight. Okay, great. Whoever bought it for you with your credit card and fake info shipped it to your house, right? You would have it. UPS delivered it. There's a picture of it on your front doorstep, right? Okay. No idea what it is. Okay. Well, then someone in your household scammed you and stole your flashlight at the same time, right? I mean, it's just human nature that people, they forget. Some people buy so much stuff online, they have no idea what they bought, and the way they pay their credit card bill is to call the credit card company and charge back half the stuff, right?
Right.
I mean,
well,
human nature.
What do you mean I bought it at 2 a.m? I don't remember.
That's what Ambient is for.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. So you can forget what you bought.
So, well, Shawn, what does increased billing do? Because that sounds.
I'm glad you asked that question. Yeah. That was a smooth segue.
So smooth.
So we have, done my main partner, the one guy who's still my partner because we bought out our other partner. Brian Claus and I have built a lot of different things over the years, and because we have great programmers, have built software to solve a lot of problems. When we got into the survival business and the membership that went with it, we couldn't find software that did everything we wanted to do, and so we built internally software to do things. And then we found all kinds of problems we were into as we got into bigger volume that we didn't know existed till we grew the business, and stuff blew up and things we should have fixed or known or whatever. And so increased billing came out of all that with, holy crap, we need to fix this stuff because we're getting killed. And, you alluded to it, Harris, that most people who get a merchant account don't have any idea that, it could leave. One day, suddenly, without warning, you're out of business. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Sometimes it's just a guy complained. Sometimes it's that you process with Stripe or PayPal or similar, and not that those aren't great companies, but they didn't even underwrite you what you're selling before you signed up, right? I mean, they're like, hey, we're going to let you sell until we're not.
Right.
Because one day you hit enough volume.
$50,000 a month. Yeah, this guy's doing $50,000 a month. What's he doing? Oh, no. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly the problem. Like when I first created an account with Shopify to sell survival products, who processes through Stripe. We sell knives. We put knives on the website. 24 hours later, we get an email that says our account shut down because we sell knives. I said, well, I'll take the knives off the website. They're like, it doesn't matter. We already shut you down. We're not going to open it back up again, right? Well, so as people who start businesses, the average person, which is 99.9% of people, start a business, get a way to process a credit card, and never think about it again until it's a problem.
Right.
Because no one has ever said you should actually pay attention to this part of your business for a lot of reasons. One reason is that if you've got a merchant account today and you process, $1 million and $1 million and $1 million, the approval rate of that merchant account is going to drop off over time. It's going to erode. And there's a lot of reasons, but just think about it this way. Over time, you've gotten customers from hundreds of different banks. And some of those customers have complained to their bank about you, and your bank and those banks, or credit union, whoever, can just be like, you know what? Those are scammers. We won't approve any order that hits that bank, right? But they don't send you a letter. Dear Harris, we're turning off. We won't let you sell to our customers. They just invisibly has happened. So, you might have started out with an approval rate where 93% of the people hit your website get approved to buy, and maybe now you're at 85%. So you lost 8%. On $1 million a year, that's $80,000 that you're not getting now, that you paid for, that you should have, that you don't get back end customers, you don't get anything, right? And sometimes it's a lot worse. We've had people that have come to us and we've analyzed what's really going on, and they're more like 50% approval rates. They just didn't know it, and they're still making money. They were profitable because they're still running ads. They're doing millions of dollars, but the way that business owners look at accounts, right? Look at your numbers. Hey, look, yesterday I collected $10,000, right? No one has thought of generally, hey, I wonder about the $4,000 that I didn't get yesterday that I should have gotten, that got declined, that shouldn't have got declined, that I have no idea why it got declined.
Right.
So when we built increased billing, the front end program, part of this is that you should first of all have more than one merchant account and way to process, because one day you're going to lose one.
Yeah.
The second thing is, without more than one, you can't compare what's happening in your transaction volume. Should I have a 7% decline rate? Well, wait, I got one account that's at 15 and one account that's at 5.
Right.
The 15% decline rate account is killing me. It's just,
Right.
I'm just losing money for no reason, and I can't look without doing that. And the engine inside of increased billing optimizes the transaction flow to push it to the mid most likely to approve it, because there's a lot of factors. But if you have a bunch of merchant accounts, if you have Stripe and Chase and Bank of America and a bunch of different things, certain merchant accounts, like certain credit card holders, better. They just get a better approval rates. And if you sell 12 people a year, it doesn't matter. If you sell 100,000 people a year, it matters a lot, because you get 5 or 10% more that you're getting through without changing anything else other than being better at processing.
Right.
And so increased billing manages all of this automatically and does a whole bunch of more cool stuff on the front end.
So I know a lot about the space. I know a lot about the space, actually. I was partners with Kevin Parlin, and we were doing something kind of similar where we insisted that people are better off, especially larger, are better off if they have multiple merchant accounts.
Right.
It sounds like you've got some intelligence, a little bit more intelligence to it than like just raw NMI. Like NMI, you can put a couple of merchant accounts in there and kind of load balance them a little bit. But it sounds like you've got some more intelligence built in as to which, you said mid, for anyone listening, merchant account, merchant ID, which one to use based on this one's from I don't know, Empower Merchant, and this one's from Maverick or whatever. Do you also are you also an acquirer, or are you agnostic to who the payment processor is?
We don't care. You can bring all your existing merchant accounts, including Stripe, to us.
Okay.
And we can integrate and manage all of that.
But not
so
PayPal,
we've helped guys who are
PayPal's not a merchant account.
PayPal's not a merchant account because it doesn't process the same way.
Right.
Braintree, different, which is a PayPal, or was a PayPal subsidiary. I'm not sure if they spun it out or not. So, for example, we've had people come to us who are processing, millions a month on Stripe, who want to safeguard the fact that Stripe could just turn them off one day and have another processing option. So, they're obviously ready to go, because inside of our portal, you can literally just go, don't send traffic to this merchant account anymore, or turn it on, turn it off. There's also an automated engine that, for example, if all of a sudden everything declines in a merchant account, within a few minutes, it would automatically send the owner a notice and switch all the processing into the other mids.
Yeah.
Because at 4 a.m., hey, the gateway could go down, your merchant account went down, your bank went down, whatever happened, you're not awake to go fix it if stuff stopped working.
Right.
So we automated that process. But
by the way, sorry to get in the weeds a little bit on it. I'm doing consulting for Warrior Plus, which is a shopping cart / marketplace, and it's something that a lot of those clients would benefit from if there were a way to, like, right now they just accept Stripe and PayPal. So if there were an easy way for them, where do you sit? Where does increased billings software sit? Like, are you
real simple. Yeah. When you hit the shopping cart button to actually order.
Yeah.
Okay. At that point, it goes from that page. Hang on. That's my team meeting starting that I'm not on. You hit the order button. It goes from there into increased billing, which in a millisecond analyzes where it should go, where it should go to get approved, etc. And then it goes through the credit card processing company, whatever that's going to be, and into the normal flow. So we just stick right in between, capture all that data. But the other thing that we do, well, two other things related to this that are important is lots of people now have recurring billing. They have memberships, and They should. It's great. Love it. It's great to wake up on the first day of the month and know you're going to get paid, even if you don't go to work, right? The problem with that is, number one, it's brutal on merchant accounts. So your chance of losing a merchant account is higher, right? Because, when a guy charges you back for 5 months of monthly billing, the
Percent
mid
of
and the
chargeback.
acquiring bank don't say, oh, it's one guy who's mad. No, they're like, it's 5 chargebacks, right?
Right.
So your risk of getting shut down goes up. That's fine. That's one of the risks of business. But most people that are processing recurring billing are doing it in some place like a Stripe or a merchant account, and all of their credit card data is controlled by someone else. So if you lose your MID, if you lose your Stripe account, you lose the ability to rebill the customers.
Right.
Which, now that I've said this out loud, there are people going, "Oh my God, I never thought of that." The people that generally think of it are the people that lost it.
Totally happened to me a few years ago.
Yeah.
I had a membership program that was like recurring membership program that had been generating thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for me every month for years. Thousands. It was like great, like for years. And then one day, boom, gone, done. Sorry, Stripe just knocked it out. That was it.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm scared to store, especially based on my recent hack. I'd be scared to store credit cards, encrypted credit cards, even anywhere.
But you don't need to, because we do.
Okay.
Somebody should, and so we do. So because the transaction data goes through us, we capture it. It's secure. We're PCI compliant. Blah 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 blah. All the tech stuff.
Yeah.
So that if you decide even that you want to not use that credit card company anymore, or use Stripe anymore, or don't use somebody anymore, you have your legit credit card data that you can switch and charge through a different processing company, because your relationship with the customer allows you to do that. And so you don't have to get shut down, you don't have to go out of business, you don't have to lose everything you spent your whole life building.
Right.
And related to that is the fact that this is another thing that people who own memberships find shocking, is that they have declines on rebills. We've talked to, I can't tell you how many people are like, hey, we're billing whatever $100,000 a month, and they're like, so what's your decline rate? No, we don't have declines. Okay, you have declines. Netflix has declines. The rest of us definitely have declines. Visa, MasterCard says the average decline rate is about 20%. So Netflix is lower because no one's letting their Netflix accounts lapse. Yours is higher, right? Doesn't matter if you're selling a supplement, info membership, whatever it is, yours is higher, especially selling to consumers. So how do you after they decline on day one, how do you recapture the people who declined? So we built essentially a recapture engine to charge the people, as many as possible, that have declined off day one, and get them back in your fold without you ever calling them, talking to them. But we've built a lot of stuff in, and have zillions of data points that we've worked with to do this, where we want to get as much money for you as we can. We don't want to lose your merchant account in the process. We've also talked, the answer is not keep charging everyone who declined until they one day pay.
Right.
First of all, because you're going to kill your merchant account. Your decline rate is going to keep skyrocketing, and they're going to shut it down. But the other thing is, I don't think most people realize, every time you try to charge somebody, you pay money, right? Because there are gateway fees involved that, might be 10 cents, might be a quarter, might be whatever, depending upon what your situation is. But, if you try to charge 1,000 people every day, you're spending a couple $100 a day. So you're pounding people, many of whom are never going to get approved, paying money to do it, and beating up and losing your merchant account all in the process. So you're killing your business with an intentional plan, right? Which is dumb. Once again, saying this stuff out loud, people are like, "Oh, that's completely obvious. I shouldn't be doing that." But without any perspective, right? Tellman was talking earlier, like stepping back, right, from your business and going, holy crap, look at the stuff that I'm doing. Shouldn't be doing this. You don't want to do that. And a lot of, if you analyze, for example, the reason why you got a decline on a rebill, you would know, hey, you know what, that one's never going through, because some of the decline reasons are reasons. So you don't need to keep trying to get the guy who's never going to get through. And you can do all of this manually. We obviously automate this. That's why we built software to do it. But the other thing about recapturing a decline is the importance of the fact that, this month, let's say you had $100,000 in rebills, 25,000 declines, right? You not only lose them this month, you lose them next month and the month after that, and right? You never get to bill them again if you can't bill them this month,
right?
But if you could rebill, let's say, $10,000 of those people this month, you get to bill them next month and the next month, right? So rebilling 10 grand this month is like rebilling 50 grand in the long run, right? I mean, it's not just the 10,000 you didn't get this month, it's the 50,000 you didn't get that you would have gotten out of those people, but you never got them back into the membership.
So you're selling rebill insurance.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's good and it works and it's automated and you don't have to touch it. We just get you money.
Yeah. Shawn, what's the, I know you said your ideal client is doing at least $1 million a year in revenue. So how large or small, like, do you have a cutoff? Do you work with startups? Do you absolutely not work with startups? Do you only work with people who are doing at least 100 grand a year? Like, what's your deal?
Well, I mean, we'd work with startups, but the problem is that most of them don't have a programmer. They don't have the, they don't have the ability or knowledge to do anything on the front end of their business to make it worth integrating with us. The top end, there's no top end. Our biggest client does about $100 million a year. We could handle somebody who's doing $1 billion a year. There's now an engine that's built on the cloud that can do anything.
Cool.
Can you see a way for it to integrate with like a ClickBank or a Warrior Plus, which I could connect you with, or a JV Zoo or something like that? Like, I mean, I know you're familiar enough with those without me trying to.
We can, because, depending upon, they control what comes after their shopping cart, right? After their order button. And because they do, we can, integrate with them and work with them on the back end of what happens.
Are you a gateway?
One of the big competitors of those guys, we have been inside of their entire business, and whether or not they're going to actually sign the deal, we know we can definitely integrate in the back end of how all that stuff works.
Right.
Their only hesitation was, I kid you not, from the CEO was, well, the programmers have had to work hard this year. We don't know if we want to give them another project. It was, okay, really? So, you agree with us that, you're just going to make more money if you do this. Yeah, but, they complain. It's like, all right. So they either need different programmers that don't complain, or they need someone who would actually run their business.
That's right.
Just my opinion, if I owned the business and they said, people complained we're not allowed to make more money, that wouldn't exactly be what I would think was like, that makes perfect sense.
Sales prevention department.
Shawn, do you have other projects? Do you have other businesses that are going still? I know you've done a lot with Brian. He was my partner first. You took him from me. No.
You weren't tough enough.
No, tough. I mean, he's brilliant. He's a great programmer and got so many ideas. Yes. My head was just spinning. You're more able to, you had more resources available to partner with him. So that I'm really I'm happy for Brian that you guys have been partners for this long, honestly.
Me too, because I've enjoyed it. He, like you said, he is brilliant. And so we have a product called Webfire that we've been selling for about 10 years, which is a suite of tools that help you generate more free traffic, get more free leads, find people that are looking for what you want to sell. It's, been really cool. And, over the last year, we've had a lot of AI features to it in terms of text generation and what we can produce. And, we've now, we have an early AI patent because we have a programmer that, just love to play around with that stuff. And our AI now will pass the human filter test.
Is this connected with Webfire?
Yes, it's built into Webfire.
Uh-huh.
So you can use it to automatically post. If you go to webfire.com, you'll see nothing about it because it's generally mostly sold on the webinars, and the sales page that's on there is for the pre-AI version there. And then we have a new product coming out. Friday will be the very first webinar that is a stock analysis software, a completely new venture for us that has come out of a programmer that has worked for us for years, who is turned in to be really good at stock analysis and investment. His portfolio this year is up, I think it's 124%. I might be off slightly, but in a six-figure portfolio. I mean, it's not random. We can go back years. And because as a programmer, we worked with him over the last year to take what he does to analyze and the data that he pulls and the information that he's got and what he was doing kind of manually and with his computer skills as well. And we've now automated all of that into a portal that normal humans like us can use. We were joking as we were getting this broadcast started about how, it's like old people and tech don't go together, right? and it's true. And my mother, who's 88, gets on the computer and uses email and does things. But, if I handed her a random piece of software, we'd be completely lost. So with her in mind, we've worked to get this down where people can do an analysis and pick off things and get training in a way that will give them an edge and accesses, what we refer to as legal insider information. Nothing illegal about it. We're not breaking a law, but we're kind of leveling the playing field to a certain extent as to what, a big hedge fund or a big trading company is doing, because they've got people who do nothing but scour the internet, SEC filings and everything else to pull data, and they act before other people find out about it, right? I mean, if you're getting your stock investment news from the TV, we know, billion-dollar companies have already acted on this and they're way ahead of you.
Right.
They're like, hey, you should buy Tesla.
So you're watching the market maker to see when they make a move, and then you're giving an indicator to your mother so that she can, buy or sell that stock shortly after the billionaires. But you're also getting the fact that, unlike, people love to sell black boxes, as they call them in the soft, like, listen, when this gives a buy signal, you just go buy, right? We don't want people to blindly be like, hey, I should buy. It's like, hey, here's why we like this stock. Yeah. Because, for example, the CEO just came out of pocket $5 million and bought more on the market, right? Good sign. Guy works there. You got to figure he knows, right? The same way Berkshire Hathaway, I think it's the chief insurance guy, but one of those guys at Berkshire Hathaway just sold $140 million worth of stock. Right. Guy sells $140 million worth of stock. You might want to take a second look as to whether or not you want to continue to own the stock, because, could be, hey, he just decided to buy a yacht, right? Well, but it could be he says, hey, you know what, this is probably peaked for a while. I'm going to take some chips off the table. Right. And it's time for you to think about doing the same. Well, I thought it was a little bit in that case. I thought, why do I know this? I thought it was a little bit because he was possibly going to be the successor, and then it was announced that he wasn't going to be the successor. So he's like, I'm selling my stock.
And that could be. But nonetheless, if you don't know these things are occurring, and generally, they're not news stories, they're just, hidden in the weeds. Yeah. If you don't know that, the fundamentals are good or bad, or that the latest, report has a bunch of language in it that says, oh man, there's a lot of headwinds on the horizon. We're not right. And normal people can't keep up with this. If you there's an interview with Warren Buffett that's really interesting from, I don't actually know, 10 or 20 years ago, a while back, but he said, I can beat the market hands down. I can easily do 50% a year with a small number. You give me $1 million, I can do 50% a year. He said, I can't do it with Berkshire Hathaway because there's just too much money. I can't, you can't be nimble with, he's got like $1 trillion now, right? But he said, here's how I would do it. I would go, and he referred to Moody's or something. I don't even know that the actual service exists today because all these things have morphed and combined. But it basically was, I would go read everything about every company. I would do complete research, and I would go find, the information and who's doing what and all this other stuff. And then, based upon now being smart about all these companies, I could take action to buy or sell. Well, most people do not want to do that. We don't have the information necessary to understand those companies or what they do or what the charts say or what the technical out. And does the stock look like it's going up or down or more, right? None of that means anything to us. But that's why God invented computers, so that we could leverage the power of them to get that information in a usable format. And we could use it to make more intelligent decisions about what's going on, both to, hey, here's a potential buying opportunity, and as well, for things that are in your stock portfolio that, hey, something significant occurred, an insider bought, an insider sold, or, this stock looks like it could fall from the sky. You should take a look. Doesn't mean you should sell necessarily, but it means, you should take a look because, let's face it, when Tesla fell from whatever huge lofty valuation it had at one point, right? Everyone in the media said it's, there's no stopping it. It'll go on forever, right? And then, it's down a significant percentage from the high. Same company, who knows what changed? I'm not smart enough to know, but clearly, if you buy on the general euphoria of, people talking in the marketplace, that's great when it works, but that euphoria lasts long beyond the value of the stock to sustain that.
Yeah. So Shawn, you said that you're going to do a webinar for that on Friday, I think.
Yes.
But so I guess, and do you mostly sell Webfire on webinars as well?
We do, yes. So that we have a chance, so we can do the full demo of the software.
So you're still doing. So you still do a lot. You still do a lot of webinars. You still find that people. Have you found a difference in the in the ability to get people to show up to a webinar? I guess is
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's
and it didn't get better.
It's tougher to get people to show up on a webinar. You need a larger number of leads to get the same number of people on a webinar, or whatever, however you want to look at it. But you still find it to be an effective way to sell.
It's definitely an effective way to sell, and in particular because when people will commit their time and pay attention, and attention is the biggest currency, right? Then you have a chance to explain your entire model to them and get them to pay attention. Video sales letters work, obviously. They have worked, they'll continue to work. But it used to be that you could make an epically long VSL, right? You could be 40 minutes and be amazed that people are still watching. Now you do 40 minutes, you got to have a real dedicated audience to have kept those people that long before you drop the link. Now, I'm not saying 40 minutes doesn't work and everything's different in every market, but the attention span is different and the novelty value is different.
Right.
Webinars peaked, there were teleseminars back when Tellman and I, or Harris and I used to do them. And people were so interested just in being able to be on a teleseminar that he and I did a teleseminar when we launched or relaunched or did something with the List Building Club one time.
That's
where
Tellman.
We had
not me. Yeah.
Yeah. With Tellman, but we had 700 people on the phone one night. And in the middle of it, right before we're going to say, okay, go buy.
In the middle. Yeah.
Boom. Whole thing went dead.
5 minutes before the pitch.
And, so we hurriedly dialed back in, and we got back I don't know, at least 500 of the 700 people came back so that we could sell them stuff.
Like 2/3.
Now today I'm going to tell you, we wouldn't have gotten 70, 80, 90% of the people to come back so we could sell them stuff. Then got webinars, and webinars used to be easy to fill, and then they weren't. And then, COVID hit and people had nothing to do, so they all came on webinars. And I think a lot of people in the last, 4 years ago were like, oh man, webinars are hot. We're going to do webinars because, everybody's stuck in their house. then everybody wasn't stuck in their house. And so that's changed. So you've got to find different ways to be able to engage people and get them to consume what you want. In our case, if you want to sell a higher ticket product, or you want to sell a software product for much of what we do, you have to get someone to, understand, why they want this, first of all, how it can help their business, and then see the software in action and the results that it generates so they can get to the other side of making a buying decision, yes or no, right? I mean, because, it's like, you go to buy a car and you walk on the lot and the guy says, hey, it's a real beauty, it's only $100,000. Do you want it? Right now, unless hey, it's a Rolls Royce, it retails for $250 and it's brand new and you should buy it. Right? You don't have any information to know. Good, bad, for me, not for me. I didn't test drive it. I didn't even see it roll down the street. I don't even know if it starts. And so, from that standpoint, it's still going to be an effective way to sell, but yes, it's harder to get people on them. And, we follow up by email, very hard to get people to watch the replay. But like many things, it has changed once again.
Have you seen any glimmer of where everybody's going? Instead,
is there anything novel
they're not
on
coming to webinars anymore? Where are they headed? Have you noticed anything?
I haven't noticed anything, but I think the biggest thing is that, again, it depends on what you're selling, right? Because there really are two different ways that people, there's always new people coming into the internet marketing world, right?
It's true.
So again, if you're launching a new business and you're looking for a model versus, hey, we sell trading software or investment analysis software, could we just go and say, hey, listen, we're going to give you, a complete education about why you should be doing all this stuff and buy our $7 course on investments. And then when we plug them into that course, sell them into the, essentially show them the webinar on the software, right? We can do that, right? It's another way to generate a lead into that software. But for us, either way, we've got to get somebody to go through, either a long sales letter or a longish video to understand, why this is important, why it's important to invest, why, hey, if you'd invest $2,000 a year randomly, you'd be better off than not investing at all or putting $2,000 in the bank. To this is software that can help you, and here's the proof, and here's the reason why. And when you get into the software, you can actually prove everything we told you is true. It's not, it's not a magic box that comes up with random predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Or like the early ClickBank scam. You guys remember this was a great scam. Probably great scam is not the proper term, but in the early days of ClickBank, they sold a product about that was a stock alert service where for like $47 every day they would alert you on the hot stock for the day to buy.
Okay.
Right, and then you buy it, and it was a pump and dump, right?
But it was software, right? So you buy the software, and the software had like 20 lines of code in it, right? Because I bought it because I'm like, okay, I have to go see what this is, right? So open it up, and I don't know how to read software code, but I could read this because basically it was blah, 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 blah. Insert the part where every day they could stick in this ticker symbol that they wanted remotely and be like, it's 9 a.m., buy this, right? I mean, so they were literally selling people into the pump and dump where it's like, hey, yesterday we bought this little known pink sheet stock. Today, everybody should buy it, right? And if you didn't catch on that it was a complete scam, you got killed. But they could come back the next day and be like, yeah, and you see that yesterday, that thing spiked first thing in the morning when we told you to buy it. At the end of the day, it's lower than when it started, right? But I mean, so, you don't want to not understand, where your actual real money is going. You want to go gamble on, the new crypto launch with $20. Hey, have fun. It's like betting on blackjack or roulette, right? Big deal. Right? But do not take your investment nest egg and hope that you're going to strike it rich buying a lottery ticket.
Right.
because then you'll be one of those old poor people that can't afford $500 when an emergency comes up, and we don't want that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome, Shawn. I mean, is there a place that people can go to find out about this webinar you have coming up, or is there not a website, or what's the deal?
Really, I didn't come here to promote that, so no, there isn't.
Fair enough.
But
Fair enough.
if they message me on Facebook or whatever, we'll send them a link to sign up. We're excited about it. It will be something I think people will find very impressive and very exciting.
Well,
and obviously increased billing is in increasedbilling.com. That's easy.
That's right.
Right. I was going to say, I certainly think that for anybody that Tellman and I have reached for, increasedbilling.com is probably the best place for them to go. And if you don't know that you need it and you're selling online, you need it. So you need to go check that out and see if there's some way to engage and get integrated with increasedbilling.com. I'm certainly going to be talking to you a little bit more, Shawn, about a couple of things that I mentioned on the call, but also for my company in general. So anyway, that's it. I think we've went a little bit further on time. We appreciate you sticking around and missing your team meeting for us, Shawn. And please, genuinely, please tell Brian I said hello and that I'm happy that everything's gone so well. He doesn't live in Atlanta. He still lives up in Wisconsin, or does he live down in Atlanta?
Yeah, he still lives in Madison. Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
Right on.
Awesome. Well, Shawn, thanks for jumping on with us. This has been great, and
it's been fun.
Maybe there'll be a webinar in the not too distant future that we are on together.
Well, I've heard of those things.
That's right.
Yeah, we definitely would be talking to you about that if that came up. So
cool, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
All right. Thanks everybody. Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks again, Shawn. Oh, now's the